I don't know if everybody understands the technical term of bad mind, but just someone not wanting you to do well for no particular reason. There's no reason. If you're writing a business plan and you just have a section, a small section for bad mind.
That's right.
Just so you know how to mitigate certain issues, you know how, okay, it's gonna happen and just ignore it. You know, even if it's just to say like, don't worry about it, just forget about it, move forward. It's just one of those things. You have to be aware of it. I think it's important to be ready for it, because if you're not, it can throw you off a little bit.
But if you don't have haters, then that means you're not doing good enough.
Hello, Throppers, and welcome back to another video podcast episode. And if this is your first time visiting, a special welcome to you. My name is Winthrop Wellington, and I am the host of On Deck with Throp, where we have meaningful conversations with people from all over the world, all about Jamaica. And today you're actually watching a clip from my annual Jamaica Investment Conference, Throp-X 2022. And today we have a panel from the young entrepreneurs, and we have Matthew Wallace and also Emma Watson sitting on the panel. And they talk about their entrepreneurial journey, where they started from, where they are, and also where they're taking their respective businesses. Matthew is a restaurateur and also a founding member of the Scotch Boys, which is a hot sauce company stationed right here in Jamaica, and Emma Watson, who is the founder of South Coast Villas, where she rents villas not only in the south coast of Jamaica, but all over. As a matter of fact, they're very, very beautiful, and they have a really compelling story and a lot of encouragement too for other young Jamaican entrepreneurs out there. And without further ado, please enjoy this panel discussion with both Matthew Wallace and Emma Watson.
So Emma, I am going to start with you. I want a little bit of a background in terms of where you were before and what kind of prompted you to get into, I don't know if I want to call it Airbnb, but in terms of this property investment.
Sure. So originally I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. I lived there until I was 10. And then my family decided to move to Jamaica. My dad's Jamaican and my mom's Irish, but she actually was the one that was like, I want to go to Jamaica so that we can like learn more about our culture and like get into that. So we moved down here, and then I went to high school, went back up to the States
for college.
To finish up college. And then I ended up working in like the luxury apartment industry there, and did like events for the residents, like throwing like little like champagne and donuts or like charcuterie events. And then I got pregnant with twins in Atlanta, and I was like, Jamaica's the best place to raise them. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So then I ended up coming down here, and my mom just started a villa called Ivy's Cove. And I started helping her with the marketing for that. And then a lot of other villas in the area also needed help. So they asked me, and then the business just kind of grew from there.
You did school, well, you did college overseas,
Yeah.
and I'm sure many of your friends, you know, you'll see them going on and practicing in their degreed areas. Do you ever regret moving back to Jamaica?
Oh, no, definitely not. No, I think a lot of times people don't even end up doing what they did in college. And I think a lot of my friends that are still up there are kind of jealous that I'm able to be down in Jamaica and I'm still running my own business. I don't have to really, they're on timelines where they have to ask for vacation, and I can just kind of
do my vacation.
Right, vacation. So yeah, I definitely don't feel like that's the downside to move down to Jamaica.
All right. So Matthew, what's your story? Where were you before and why come home?
All right. So I was in Jamaica first, and I moved to the States to do the last part of my high school and some university. So I went to FIU, studied hospitality management there. My family had always been deep rooted in hospitality before that. So hotels and restaurants. So it kind of came as second nature. And then moved back home. We actually started Scotch Boys while I was back and forth from the States with friends here. We basically, long story short, we entered a grill off and we won first place the first year, and then we won the second year. But it wasn't until one of our cheapest friends offered to buy a waffle of the sauce. And we were like, what? How can you, if you're offering to buy it, you know, we must be on to something. So after that, you know, we did the labels. Luckily, one of our partners, I'm co-founder, so there are three other partners that we've all been friends since high school. And so we made the labels, the recipes. One of us has a very big spice industry background. Another is in sales. The third member, he does our labels. And that has really been crucial to get the brand out there, having a good label. And the other person has a strong background in sales. So we all kind of feed off of each other's strengths. And that's pretty much how Scotch Boys came about.
So in terms of starting the business, were you having any hiccups with that?
Oh, definitely. So the sauce industry is very saturated, as I'm sure anybody here that's been into a supermarket. You can see, 100 different sauces, depending on which one. And so that was the first hurdle, I think, to get over, was to create a brand that would catch your eye before you get to taste it. Because with any food product, without no pun intended, the proof is always in the pudding. You can't really sell and push a product if you can't prove that it's great. So we did a lot of taste testings everywhere we went. Luckily, our first big win, or our first merger hurdle getting over, was getting into high-low. So we got into all the high-lows on the island. Then we got into other bigger, small chains. So like Lee's, La Shushan, General Foods, and Fontana, etc. And we also export as well. But the main hurdle, I think, was getting the brand out there, having people see the brand and say, oh, I want to try that.
Mm-hmm. So. In terms of Scotch Boys, and of course the sauce that we have is quite peppery, and peppers are something that a lot of people like overseas. So we do quite a bit of export from Jamaica elsewhere. How did you ensure that it could, be a favorite, whether it's on the shelves locally or even overseas?
That's a lovely question. So the main concept, one of our visions behind the brand before we even put it out, was to be an amazing sauce, a world-renowned sauce offered all around the world, as mentioned before, without, that just so happens to be Jamaican. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the sauces that we see now end up being pigeonholed in certain aisles, in ethnic aisles, or certain, you go in the Caribbean aisle and you see all your favorite sauces. But our goal is to really, go after the Franks and the big brands that are on every single table, everywhere you go. And it just so happens to be Jamaican. So quality has always been our focus. It has driven up our expenses a little bit. So our production costs are a little bit more, but the end result is the quality of the product. You really taste the flavor, you taste the quality. We only buy from local farmers, so we support over 100 local farmers currently. The only thing we import are the bottles and the caps. So I don't know, as there are a few Jamaicans here that can attest to the fact that the quality of produce that's grown here in Jamaica is way higher than anywhere else in the world, I would consider. A lot of the things that we grow naturally are organic, and you pay an extra cost for that anywhere else you go, and we're getting it here for free sometimes, and at low cost. So that advantage to have an amazing base to really, have a platform to get these farmers have their produce all over the world. We're currently on Amazon, and we're in about 500 stores in the UK, Poland, and Germany. And we just recently secured our entry into the US market. So we're very proud to say that our product represents quality Jamaican produce that just gets out there.
All right. So to Emma, and South Coast Villas, a lot of people are, of course, interested in having properties that they can, use as Airbnbs or to just have as vacation homes. Tell me about the marketing and how you really ensured that South Coast Villas was going to be a name that a lot of people would remember.
Well, when I started the company, it was actually when COVID first started. So it was at a time where everyone was kind of at a standstill. People were like stopping, like doing their marketing and everything. So I kind of used that to my advantage. And I used the resources that I had. I had one of my friends, Christoph, actually, that's here. He lived by me, and he is a really good photographer. So I had him take a lot of photos of the villas, and then we made sure that we were doing a lot of posting. And then before COVID, I think a lot of villas were geared towards getting people outside of Jamaica to come in. Yeah, so I pivoted that. The borders were closed, so I tried to market some more local people, and it helped a lot.
And what would you say is the difference when tourists come and stay versus when, locals come and stay? What do they say?
There's not really a difference in like the experience, but because it was a time where we couldn't get anybody outside, I wanted to make sure that like the locals could come in and actually get to enjoy their own country.
Well, that is true, because many people, were saying it was time to enjoy what all the tourists.
Yeah, exactly.
We're finally seeing like, oh, this is the nightlife. That's out there. And, we started doing all the rafting and all those beautiful things you see tourists doing all the time. We're like, I'm going to be out here. I want my shot. Great things. So in terms of this property now and renting it out, how difficult has it been, if there has been any difficulty?
I guess like the most difficult thing is that I started in an area where a lot of people didn't know about. So we're based in White House, Westmoreland, and it's in like a gated community, so it's really private. If you don't know about it, you can't really see it from the outside, and there wasn't really a lot of marketing. So just kind of like getting the word out there at first and getting people down was the biggest challenge. But once you have people down and you have reviews, then it starts getting easier.
What's the biggest business lesson you've learned so far?
The biggest lesson is just to get started. I feel like a lot of people are like scared of being like they're not perfect yet or they don't have everything together. But the biggest lesson is just get started, and then you'll figure it out as you go along.
Did you have to take any sort of business loan to get started?
No, I didn't take any loans. I just had my website that I did on Squarespace. And then I don't own any of the properties, so I just had to form a relationship with the owners, and then I get a commission based on all of the guests that I bring in.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's a sweet job for a young person. Quite frankly. So Matthew, to you, what's the biggest business lesson you've learned thus far?
Ooh, wow.
Give me two.
Okay. Off the top of my head, I would firstly say, just believing in your brand, believing in whatever you're doing. If you're going to do it, try not to put less effort than you would expect from someone else. So I tend to see people try something, but not really put everything in, and then expect to see something come out of it that's so great or comparable to someone else's success. I think a lot of times self-doubt. So my biggest lesson, I think, in the industry and getting the product out there has just been being confident. People can see that, people can feel that. If you come and you're like, oh, try my sauce, it's okay. Nobody's gonna really want to try it. You have to be like, hey man, my sauce cures everything. Like all of your problems. Like you need to really believe.
You have high blood pressure.
So yes, exactly.
You have diabetes.
What do you say? You have acid reflux? Yeah, man, this is good for you too. You're like, perfect. But I'm just kidding. I know something. But just being confident has really helped to push the brand very far.
In terms of government entities or agencies helping to move along. So you would be in the food, that sector.
Yes.
Campro or any other entity helping.
We don't. Definitely. We don't have enough time here tonight for me to sing praises about Campro. They have been immensely helpful to us. They actually helped to pivot, helped to get us into our first international market. Campro was instrumental in getting us into Canada. So our first overseas supermarkets were all stemmed behind the help and assistance. We even traveled to Toronto together with some of their team members, and they brought us around supermarkets, connections that they would have had already established. And that was crucial for getting us in there. There are a few other entities here that don't necessarily come to the top of my head right now, but I think definitely leveraging different relationships is going to be crucial. It's going to be so important at the end of the day. One hand cannot clap, as Jamaicans always say, and the more people you have that want you to do better kind of sounds silly, but you're really going to be better off that way. So.
All right. Emma, a question came in for you. Does South Coast Villas manage properties in Draxhall?
Yeah, so we can manage properties all across Jamaica. Since I'm not in that area, we don't really focus on like the staffing and kind of like it's not more hands-on in that area, but we could still do the advertising, and then I speak to the clients beforehand, during their stay, and then after. So I handle all of like the client relations.
All right. A question came in for you, Matthew. Does Scotch Boys export to the UK?
So yes, we recently, the past, I would say about 6 months, got an entry into the UK market. So we're in a store called TK Maxx. They have about 500 locations across UK, Poland, and Germany. So we're available there, and obviously constantly pursuing getting into other stores across UK. But those are the first.
You know, sometimes when you're in business, because you've worked for somebody else, you kind of learn the temperaments that a leader needs to have and those kind of characteristics, and you build up years of experience. You're both quite young. So how are you being mentored to be great leaders for your teams?
Well, for me, I'm currently by myself, but I'm like learning more, just like staying up to date in the industry. I actually just joined a travel agency, so then now I can offer my clients hotels if they would rather go that route, or stays like all around the world. So just kind of like trying to stay up to date and educate myself, since it's just me.
And then networking with some of these travel agents as well.
Of course, yep.
Which do quite well internationally. And Matthew, for you, how are you getting any sort of mentorship right now?
My main mentor growing up is actually here, sitting in the crowd right now, with my dad.
Big up, Daddy. Where now? Daddy.
Take
the beat back. Take it.
A lot of the support that I get, and information, advice, anything at all, I go to him first, and then don't. As you can see, I get my humor from him as well.
But let's talk about that a little bit, because, sometimes in a family business, there is a headbutting, and of course, daddy might have ego. You might be young and don't want to be trained. Oh, definitely. Tell me about how that dynamic has been to going through some of the rougher patches.
So it's definitely been rough. It hasn't been the prettiest road, but the destination is absolutely fabulous. So we do bump heads from time to time, but I encourage that, and I think it's important to acknowledge the importance of bumping heads. What it represents is someone else's opinion, maybe another side of something, another aspect that you might not be able to see because of where you're standing. It's not necessarily that you're any less of a person, but if I'm standing here, I can't see what's happening downstairs. So it's just law. So we do definitely bump heads. I also do other businesses, somewhat of an entrepreneur like my dad. So Scotch Boys isn't my only company, but we do ask each other. Now we're at the stage where we both ask each other for advice. So that to me, is a major accomplishment, and just going through, because as you say, youth tends to be stubborn, and I think you can have such a great advantage. And I think Emma can attest to this as well, not being stubborn as a young person growing up, being willing to make the mistakes, being willing to listen, shut up and listen,
Yeah. Say that again. What will it take to do?
Like, shut
Think my better said.
Yeah, it's crazy, but a lot of, you don't need, you're not reinventing the wheel. Our ancestors, any generation of anyone here would have gone through situations that we are now trying to face. So all we have to do is look back at the roadmap and say, all right, cool, this is what we need to do to move forward. And I think generational wealth is so important to have that and to encourage that here in Jamaica. So
a lot of parents, would have wanted their child to be a lawyer, doctor, or something very established. Now you're saying that they are to be in business, and it's a little bit of agriculture and value added. When you initially thought of this path, what was that conversation like with your parents?
So at the time, I was working with the family. I've always been working with the family. I think since I could carry something. This man has been working me since then. Right? Like, so carry this over there. But so it's helped to build a lot of character. It makes you understand work ethic, and that nothing really good is going to just appear in your lap. And to embrace that, be happy about the journey. Be happy about the sweat and the tears and these down days, because it's gonna come. It's just on the other side of hard work, and so that's been crucial.
In terms of investment, because we do have people who are looking to invest in local companies and different sectors, how open are you to conversations like that?
I would be very open.
Oh, cool. So having other people come on board, I know you have to start reporting to them and everything.
Yeah, that would be fine. I've been doing it on my own for a while, so I'm definitely open to having like more input and maybe having like a board of people that can kind of help the business to grow from what I've already started.
Okay. In terms of working in the field of hospitality and tourism, have you ever thought of switching and going into another field?
Not right now, no. I actually love what I do, so I don't know about the future, but right now this is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
And how did you get to this point of going, this is where I'm supposed to be?
I think just like being happy. I've like already worked for like other people and been in different industries, but like this is something that I'm actually like excited to do. Like I actually enjoy speaking to the clients. I enjoy like meeting new homeowners and like visiting the homes and planning photo shoots and like getting more followers on social media and just like the whole everything about it. It's really something that I love.
All right. Do you have a lot of friends who are also entrepreneurs?
Matthew.
Did he inspire you?
No.
We both inspire each other, to be honest.
We always show each other when we see each other. Like it's just
We're always gassing each other. Like, I heard you have another villa. Like, yeah, man. And that's important too, to encourage and be positive about someone else.
Yeah. Especially in Jamaica when there's usually like so much competition. It's nice to just have like allies in the industry.
And experience bad mind, like for instance, say,
of course.
I was about to say that. I was like, should I say bad mind? Yeah, factor that in as my new thing that I'm telling everybody. And if you're writing a business plan and you should just have a section, maybe a small section for bad mind.
That's right.
Just so you know how to mitigate certain issues. You know how it's gonna happen, and just ignore it. Even if it's just to say like, don't worry about it, just forget about it, move forward. But you do get, and I don't know if everybody understands the technical term of bad mind, but just someone not wanting you to do well for no particular reason. There's no reason, So it's just one of those things. You have to be aware of it. I think it's important to be ready for it, because if you're not, it can kind of throw you off a little bit. And you don't need any unnecessary, being thrown off or anything unnecessary.
But if you don't have haters, then that means you're not doing good enough. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's something good.
All right, I'm going to open the floor to any questions that you might have right now. For these two young entrepreneurs, anyone? Yes, ma'am. Come forward, these are two. But she's one of our most attentive guests.
I applaud you guys for what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And this is what we're training our children to do as well. Pertaining to the villas, do you start from entry level, which means like interior designing, or just planning itself? Because I do have a villa in mind that I want to communicate with you to see if we can start something.
Perfect. Yes, I'll have to get your contact. So I currently don't deal with like the interior design. I do know some people that are in the industry, so I can give recommendations. But for me, mostly in the business, it's like advertising and like speaking to the clients. And then I can also help with like getting staffing and everything and just like putting a plan together so that everything's just like streamlined.
And planning and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will meet you after.
Yes.
Any additional question? Nope. Someone is going to step forward.
Not a question, just to say to the young people, I do applaud them. I mean, when you speak to young people now, everybody wants to go abroad. And so now to see young people coming back to help build Jamaica, it's wonderful. And I encourage you both.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, they're so sweet. Matthew says, go ahead. Matthew, I don't want to leave you out.
Oh, sure.
All right.
Pertaining to the streamlining of your pepper sauce, did you have, like in the US, they have FDA. In Jamaica, do you have something like a food drug administrator that you have to go through to make sure that your product can be safely put on?
Yes, definitely. The main one, obviously, you have to be FDA approved. You have SQF8, which is another certification that you have to get. But there are facilities here. It's all available. If you have a product, you send it to them. They will send you back your nutritional facts. They'll let you know exactly what's in it, so you can go ahead and do your label. It takes a few weeks once you send in a product, but it is a service that's available, readily available.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
And on that note, it's not just well, do you have your own farm and then a facility for the manufacturing? Tell us about your operations right now.
Yes, so we definitely have our own farm. However, based on the amount of sauce that we're producing, we end up outsourcing, obviously. So as mentioned before, we do have over 100 local farmers that we go to. We get all our scallion, our peppers, pimento, everything we get locally. And that really helps the quality of the product. So, yeah.
Correct. You know the rules to the mic here? The viewers online need to hear clearly. It's through 6-day experience that we're offering since they're not here with us at Travelers Beach Resort.
Matthew, you mentioned that your product is organic. When Martin was speaking, the other guy from Ashley Van, yes, he mentioned that because of the volume that he's doing, he has to use non-organic products. What will you do to ensure that your product line don't have to go that way?
A lovely question, and I think I'm gonna have to go back to the boys with. But no, that's something that we're actively on top of, especially with all the challenges now with the pandemic and supply chain issues. You really have to set yourself up from months in advance. So any projections that we've had, if we're ordering bottles, for example, for November, we're already looking in March so that we know, okay, we need, say, 3,000 waffles. We can't wait till, September to order. We're never going to get them. So it's a similar process with the produce. You really just have to have a wide variety. When I say legit hundreds of farmers, and they're all over Jamaica. So I think, there is a concern, and that can be a whole nother conversation about the farming industry and its rapid decline right now. So it is an issue that we face, sourcing local produce and organic produce. But one of the things that we're doing to combat that is our own farm. So we do have our own Scotch Boys farm. What we do every year, we just tend to size up. However, it would have to be ridiculous. I don't know what size farm we'd have to make to be able to produce, but that's why it's so important to have these satellite farms. And another solution to that is what we're doing now in some schools, who we actually do a lot to give back and do a lot of work with schools. So we're starting farming programs in some smaller schools around now, where we install a greenhouse and provide the knowledge and the training on how to grow peppers, and also other produce that will help to supplement that school's canteen. And then we purchase back the peppers from them to use for our sauce. So that helps to really, it goes across so many different angles. It gives these young people a taste of entrepreneurship, a taste of that responsibility of growing something and having someone come and purchase it from them. And, it's also great piggybacking, because then most of these smaller schools that we reach out to, which are schools under 100 that don't really, they don't get to apply for the big funding from government and stuff like that. So those schools we work with, they really appreciate that. We're just in the process of setting our first one up now. So we're excited to document that and to put that out there. And that's, I think, a small way is to reinvest in the community. Mm-hmm. If you're to be a true entrepreneur, if you're not investing in the community and trying to better your community, you're really not doing it right, because then you're not looking in the long run, because 2 years down the road, who are you going to hire? Who are you going to buy from? So that's one of the ways that we're trying to mitigate that issue.
Are you able to tell me which school that is that you're setting it up with, or we should just wait to read about it?
No, I can say it's St. Paul's Primary. There are two schools that we do work with now, Sav Primary, obviously in Sav, and St. Paul's Primary, which is about 20 minutes outside of Negril.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And as we're closing out for this panel, I want you both to tell me what's your biggest achievement and what's your advice to young people. Emma, let's start with you. Biggest achievement in your career thus far?
I think my biggest achievement is just like starting the business. I never really saw myself as someone that could start something. So just starting it and being able to grow to what we have now. I have about 20 villas now. So starting from end. So
nice. Not just on the South Coast either, right?
Yeah, no, not just on the South Coast. We have a villa two in Negril, one in Ochi, and one in Mobe.
And to any young person that might be streaming right now, or for, the relatives of these persons who are fairly young in the audience, what would you say to them in terms of starting a business in Jamaica?
I would say, just don't worry. Like I said before, don't worry about being perfect. Just run with something that you're passionate about, and don't let the noise of everyone else kind of get you down. Just do what feels right.
Matthew, biggest achievement so far in any of your businesses?
Well, I'll stick to Scotch Boys. Our biggest achievement recently is our entry into the U.S. market. I can't, go into any more information on that, but we're extremely excited, and we're going to be starting out in a couple hundred stores in the States. So that's we've been building up to this. It's been a long road. We've fought so many battles. Luckily, none of us have all wanted to quit on the same day. So we've all just yo, I'm done. And I'm like, no, hold on, we could do it. So we're gaining some traction now, and just working organically has really gotten us that safe. So we're happy to have that achievement.
All right. And in terms of your advice to young people, in terms of starting a business?
Go for it. Just go for it. If you feel like you have something that's different, most huge brands out there now, most successful brands were started in an adversity, or in some, people would be like, what is that? Just for example, I had a whiskey yesterday that I tasted. It was peanut butter whiskey. And I was like, who drinks this? Who wants this? And that's just my opinion. But this company is a big company. They have a bottling plant. They have a luxury logo, and they have their demographic. They have their people that they're selling to, and they're being carried by a brand that's distributing liquor all across Jamaica. So it just goes to show, if you have something that you think you can get out there, go for it.
All right. And on that note, I want to say thank you.
You just watched a clip from Throp-X 2022. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more, click right here. Or right here.